My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Hello, my friend. Today we are going to talk about something really fun for me, and that is magic. And not just magic, but truly the elegance of living as if by magic. So you may have heard that phrase before, as if by magic, when something shows up as if by magic. And that's the acknowledgement that you didn't have to work hard for it. You didn't have to force it into existence. It wasn't expected, judged. It just kind of showed up as if by magic. What if you could live that way? What if you could actually live your life with the elegance of as if by magic? Now, when I talk about elegance, I'm using the description that the amazing Gary Douglas has given about elegance, and I'm just going to actually read it to you. The willingness to use the least amount of energy to generate the maximum effect in life. It's how you change others by the amount of energy you use. I would say others and things, circumstances, occurrences, if you will. It's the least amount of energy, right? That's this beautiful elegance of as if by magic. Now, you've probably experienced at least once in your life, and I'm guessing way more than one time in your life, where you've wondered about something or kind of asked the universe for something, and then it showed up with so much ease that sometimes we almost go, whoa, like it couldn't have been that easy. Like we go into doubt rather than the acknowledgement of the wonder of it, but the magic of it. It could be as simple as like, oh, I would just love to have this, whatever. It could be an item, it could be a new vehicle, it could be something, and then as if by magic, it happens to go on sale. But you didn't create that, right? Or did you? What if even those easy things, those things were just as simple as, well, I didn't say affirmations 10 times a day. I didn't make a vision board about it. I just kind of wondered about it, and then it showed up. That's the elegance of living as if by magic, where you ask and you receive. Now, it doesn't always mean it shows up instantly, although it can. But the elegance is that you're using the least amount of energy to generate the desired result. So this can show up any aspect of your life. You could look at this in relationship, and you can use this question at the end of any sentence and just add it. To me, it adds a little sprinkle of magic to anything. So you could say, what would it take for whatever to show up, what would it take for $1,000 to show up in my life as if by magic? Now, part of the elegances of as if by magic isn't what would it take for $1,000 to show up because I worked really hard for it and I did the right thing and I was deserving of it and now it can show up. Thank you very much. The elegance and the gift of as if by magic is that it's not a lot of effort, that you allow, and you actually have to allow it because it's already there. But a lot of us are proving our deserving of something or our value of something by putting a lot of effort into something. If that's you, you might want to look at clearing that so that you can have more of this magic show up. So what would it take for fill in the blank, whatever it is, to show up as if by magic? Now notice what shows up for you even when you ask that question. So think of something and I want you to fill in the blank. What would it take for a kind, caring, nurturing, orgasmic relationship to show up as if by magic? Or if you're already in a relationship, it could be like, what would it take for a new business possibility to show up as if by magic? What would it take for me to go on vacation, for me to go to walk the streets in Rome as if by magic? And now there's this opening to the receiving of that, to actually like allow it. Mm-hmm. Now I want to ask the question, do you believe in magic? If you don't believe in magic, this might be a difficult episode for you. And there's those that pretend to believe in magic. I've, encountered them and they kind of go, well, my body's magic. Well, your body is magic, but they're not really acknowledging like the magic of it. They're like, yeah, this is magic. This is magic. Just kind of like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, oh yeah, that showed up. That's cool. But disregarding the miracle of it, that doesn't mean you make it significant. We don't have to flip over to the other side of the coin and make like every magical thing like super significant. But where you can actually go, wow, I asked for that and it just showed up as if by magic. And be grateful for you and be grateful for the universe for contributing to that magic in your life, in your living. Now, if you have a commitment to difficulty and stress and strain, you might notice less of these occurrences. You might not like the elegance, the lack of the least amount of effort. You might like working hard. I thought I did. I really did. I would, not only would I work hard, but I would have like a little bit of, I would feel good if I knew I was working in a group and I did at least like double what someone else did as far as work. I would feel good. Like I'd be like, yeah, okay, cool. Like I know that I put in, so now I can receive. There was like something there for me about that. And, but what's actually true, what's actually more to my reality, I discover more and more every day I explore curiously my own universe, is that I've actually been very aware of living as if by magic. And what's true for me is that my life is kind of charmed, that I ask for things and they show up miraculously all the time when I allow it. And when I acknowledged that that was my reality, when I acknowledged like, oh, wow, this is more true for me. This is when I live this way, when I allow this type of generation and actualization to show up, I have a greater sense of me. I have a greater sense of like the zest for life and the joy of living. That is my awareness of me living my universe, my reality. I'm functioning from that, not someone else's reality, someone else's way of functioning. When I grew up, difficulty and hard work, that was kind of, well, not even hard work, just difficulty. difficulty. That's what I grew up with. Not elegance, not as if by magic. So what's your reality with magic that you maybe have never fully allowed to show up? And it's really that easy. It's like allowing it. Like think of when there's a sign like no whatever allowed, like no music allowed, no laughter allowed, no you allowed, no joy allowed. Okay, so that's the sign on the door. And then you're just gonna like take that sign off. And you're going to go, okay, so what if ease is allowed? What if elegance is allowed? What if magic is allowed here in your universe, in your world? What if you invited more and more and more and more and more of that living as if by magic? And when I say living as if by magic, because I truly get that it can partake in every area of your life, even with your body. What would it take to change this as if by magic? Hey, body, what would it take to change, fill in the blank, as if by magic? And then notice like what awareness shows up. Notice where you seem to be, you'll just be kind of tugged to something. That's your body and magic colliding into possibility. When you allow that tug, when you go forward and meet it, that's the collision of possibility occurring for you as if by magic. And you don't, when you go to that question of as if by magic, please don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. Do not try to figure out the how, because that's not elegance. That's not the elegance of as if by magic. If you're doing all this hard work of thinking and trying to figure it out and trying to like create the how and add all this order and structure and linearity, do you know how much energy that takes? That's a lot of energy. That's not the least amount of energy. So what are you willing to have show up in your life as if by magic? Are you willing to write more elegance of as if by magic into your life right away? With money, with your body, with relationship, with your business, parenting. What would it take for my kids to go to sleep as if by magic? All the parents out there are going to thank me for that one. I have used that one. And I'll notice, but let go. Okay. So if you go to ask that question, but then let go of what that means, that it needs to be within 3 seconds, or it needs this, or it needs to show up this way. I once asked this question. My boys were just so chatty and they were like laughing and joking. And I was like, oh, I just want them to go to bed. And then I was like, what would it take for them to fall asleep as if by magic? And they actually got louder and more animated. And I went to go, that's not as if by magic. Like I went to go into force and into control. And I stopped myself and I was like, wait a minute. What is showing up here that I'm not acknowledging? And then after they got loud and animated, within 3 minutes, they suddenly just got completely quiet. It's like, what just happened? I didn't come down. And they were asleep. So the elegance was, for whatever reason, they had to get more like energized. They had to like, it was like letting out more of this burst of energy. Whereas like the slow leak of energy wasn't doing it. So when I asked as if by magic, it got like more and then suddenly asleep. So your mind is always there to negate magic. So don't listen to it. Okay? Ignore it. The mind, if it's a terrible thing, waste it. Especially when it comes to magic. The mind cannot apply here. So when you ask those questions, what would it take for this to show up as if by magic? Please don't have a predetermined conception of what that means. As if by magic means that you don't know how it's going to show up because it showed up as if by magic. Got it? Because if you knew how it was going to show up, it wouldn't be magic. It would be, what would it take for this to show up in the exact way that I've already decided that it's going to show up in the time frame that I've decided that it must show up in? Thank you very much. I am God. That's what that is. But when you're willing to have something truly show up as if by magic, you get to live this life of being surprised by the universe all the time. it's it's this really playful engagement, and you really take off the controls of how something shows up, because the how it shows up becomes the mystery that you get to discover when you receive the magic. Yeah. Oh, how much fun and joy and play and pleasure can you have truly living your life with the elegances of As If by Magic? And maybe that's more true for you. So if you've been one of those hard workers, like I would drive me crazy. I used to be a server at a restaurant, and I'd be working my ass off. And I would see these people just like not working hard. And they would, get more tips, and they would, because they were like just engaging and having conversation and enjoying their customers, and they would enjoy that. And then so this elegance, like they really truly were willing to use the least amount of energy to generate the maximum effects. Wow. And I judged that. I would judge them because I felt that I couldn't choose that. So it must be wrong. But what if you could choose it? What if no matter what you made right about working hard, or made wrong about elegance and ease, what if you could distrain and create all those judgments, deconstruct them, truly dissipate and release them from your world? And then start to invite that elegance of living as if by magic. And it's going to show up so differently for you than, like for me, that, the people that were barely doing any work and getting the result of, all this money. If I were to copy them, it wouldn't work. But if I were to allow it to show up in the way that it shows up for me, then it always works. It's about what is living as if by magic for you. How does that elegance show up? And exploring that for yourself. And as you explore that for yourself, you'll discover more. And then you can ask for more, and then explore it more, and then ask for more, and explore it more, and see what you create as your life from that question, from being that question, that curiosity. What would it take for this, whatever this is, whatever you're dreaming of, whatever you desire, to show up as if by magic? And just then allow it. Allow it to show up as if by magic. And I really do mean allow it. Because a lot of us have our energetic hands out pushing magic away, like almost from a survival perspective. What if magic won't hurt you this lifetime? What if receiving things showing up as if by magic isn't wrong? And yes, you might be judged for it, and most likely no one's going to even notice, except for the magical folk in your life. And then they're going to be like, oh, that was awesome. I wonder what I can create. There truly is a different possibility available for all of us to live as if by magic, no matter what's going on in the world. Because what's going on in the world is what's kind of going on in the world. But you still get to have your reality. You still get to have your universe, your unique possibilities. There are possibilities available to you that aren't available to anyone else. You just have to open to them and step into them. Allow them in your life and allow them to show up as if by magic. That beautiful elegance of living. You might notice more energy running through your body right now, or relaxation, or a joy, or an excitement. ask for even more of that. This is just like the very tip of the iceberg of what's possible. There's truly so much available to us magic folk that we have probably only dreamed of, and probably only put in the it must be a dream category. But now this time on the planet, there are spaces open to us that have never been open before. There are magics that can contribute to that maybe have never been able to before. Now is the time more than ever for you to be asking for everything to show up as if by magic. Magic's here, and you are magic. You are magic. Your body is magic. And you can have a living with the elegance of as if by magic if you allow it. And I hope you do. I hope you allow even though just a little bit more today after this show, after this podcast with me. And when it shows up, acknowledge it. Be grateful. And ask for even more. What if the more you ask for, the more you allow to show up with the elegance of as if by magic, creates a more beautiful world for all of us. I always say to my kids, put in the world whatever you want more of. So if you want more fight and more cruelty and more judgment and more difficulty and more work, then put that in the world. That's the world you want to create and see, put that in the world. If you want to see a world of magic and miracles, if you want to see a world of elegance and peace and nurturing, put that in the world. Put that in your own world. Invite it in, ask for it, allow it, and be it in the world. What if you're willing to be the elegance of as if by magic in every area of your life that you're willing to have it? And just by asking that question and being with these energies that we're engaging with here today, it's showing up. You don't have to think about it. It just is. It's here already. Open the door to it. Let it in. What would it take for more elegance of living as if by magic to show up right away? Thank you so much for engaging with me on this show. I'm grateful for you. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?